I begin with a vow, and I do not make it lightly. I cannot permit resentment, replay, or accusation to take possession of my thought. I cannot allow the film to run and run until it burns the very screen of my heart. I must maintain my God-given dominion over what enters and lodges in consciousness. Therefore, I in this instant assume dominion and take my place as porter at the door of thought. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. I keep it, I guard it, I refuse entrance to that which defileth, because peace is my estate, and I will not give it in pawn to the memory of an offense. Now, yes, I know how convincing it sounds. They did it to me. It feels unquestionable, almost noble in its clarity. It gathers witnesses. It builds a case. It paints pictures on the inside of my ribs until my very breath is cross-examined. And the heart, feeling itself injured, reaches for armor, rehearses, replies, sharpens knives of defense and punishment. Did you notice how quickly the room of your soul fills up with jurors when you say, they did it to me? You see, that little phrase throws open the door to a courtroom. It does not heal, it convenes. But I cannot permit my inner temple to be turned into a court of accusation. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. I, in this moment, will not host a trial in my chest. Now, do you remember that I did not say, no one harmed me? I did not deny facts. I said, I will not consent to personal offense entering my consciousness. This is my first dominion. The event may have occurred. The bruise may be there. Wisdom may require boundaries and clear speech. But the suggestion that I must take it personally and live by it, that I must let another sit in the seat of my peace that I will not accept, here, right here, I discover the first relief. If I see what is knocking as an impersonal claim, suggestion, mesmerism, the tempter whispering, turn these stones into bread, then I can refuse it without falsifying the facts. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Resist the suggestion, not by might, not by argument, but by declining consent. I say, no, you may not enter. I will not identify a child of God as the cause and meaning of this suggestion. I will not crown a brother or a sister with a title offender and nail them to it. That is not truth. That is idolatry of injury. Let me make the distinction plain, because upon it rests our freedom. Acknowledging harm is honesty. Consenting to personal offense as a way of living is bondage. I can say, this happened. It grieved me. I require a new agreement, a new boundary, perhaps a separation. That is truth-telling. But to say, therefore I will let your face live rent-free in my mind. Therefore I will carry you as my warden. Therefore I will let the night replay and replay. No. Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. I can let the sun go down on the facts, and I can let the night carry them to God, but I will not let wrath possess me. I will not nurse it. I will not rock it to sleep. I will not make it my child. Do not get the I of which I speak mixed with the swashbuckling ego. It is not that. It is the gentle I, the I that heard. I and my Father are one, and bowed. It is the I that prays. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips, and also the door of thought. It is the I that stands still and sees the salvation of the Lord, because in that stillness the authority of offense withers. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and neither shall the weapon of mental replay. I yield to the spirit that says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, and I accept it as law in my consciousness. So I promise not by my bravado, but by this law of inner governance. There is forgiveness without pretending, and there is freedom without a battle. We will not whitewash harm. We will not call darkness light. We will simply refuse to enthrone it. We will let the facts be facts and the spirit be spirit. And as we choose this first dominion, as we hold the door and let pass only what serves peace, a new atmosphere comes, almost imperceptibly at first. The jaw softens, the breath eases, the hand unclenches. The heart ceases to be a courtroom and becomes again a sanctuary. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, becomes more than a verse. It becomes the climate in which I live. And in that climate, the story of they did it to me loses its power to narrate my life, for I am not consent, I am dominion. Now let us look squarely at the trap, because unless I see the mechanism, I will step into it 100 times and call it justice. The instant I accept a person as the cause of my inner state, you made me angry. You ruined my day. You broke my heart. In that instant, I hand my keys across the bars and say, here, govern me. Ye are bought with a price. Be not ye the servants of men. I must not be the servant of anyone's temper, agenda, praise, or scorn. If I say, you did this, therefore I feel thus, I have abdicated dominion. And the other, in my imagination, becomes the jailer who walks the corridor of my thought, rattling the keys every hour. Do you see that? They do not even have to be present. A remembered tone of voice can lock me in. A silence, no reply to the text, can throw the bolt. That is the hidden trap. Someone did this becomes my prison guard. Why does resentment keep its life? Why does it not die of starvation? Because I keep feeding it with separation, two selves, two interests, two lives competing for air. As long as I live in that arithmetic, my good contra your good, my dignity contra your dignity conflict is built in, because I must protect my little corner of the sky against you. Then even a cloud drifting across your sky seems a theft from mine. From whence come wars and fightings among you, says the apostle. Do you notice how quickly war breaks out on the sidewalk of the heart? The math is wrong. The sum of me plus you is not two warring economies. All things are yours, and ye are Christ's, and Christ is God's. But if I forget that and revert to the old math, then every small weather change in your mood becomes climate crisis for me. Bring it down to the ordinary, because truth must work on Tuesday at 3 p.m. The manager ignores my contribution in the meeting. I feel the snap. He diminished me. A friend repeats a confidence. I feel the heat. She betrayed me. A spouse criticizes in public. I feel the bruise. He humiliated me. A parent arrives with advice wrapped as control. I feel the cage. She will not let me be. Do you watch the same choreography each time? The mind writes a name on the deed to my peace and signs it over. Owner, them. Then, like a diligent tenant, I pay monthly with rumination, pay quarterly with sarcasm, pay annually with estrangement. I have seen it in myself. I have paid those rents. Sometimes the bill still arrives, and for a moment it looks like a legal notice stamped in red. But I must snap out of it. I must say, no, I cannot afford this apartment in the penitentiary of blame. Here is a small story, and if you find yourself inside it, take the blessing and not the shame. A woman I shall call Amara sat in my study and told how an old friend had frozen her out of a circle. I cannot sleep, she said. Every time I try, her face is there. And I said, gently. Do you see what you have done? You have hired her as night watchman over your rest. It startled her to laugh, and in that laugh the gate creaked a little. For when she withdrew the contract, when she saw that she, in thought, had deputized a friend as warden, the night watchman had to put down the keys. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Now, yes, I will not say there were no facts. In each of these scenes there may be boundaries to set, words to speak, perhaps roads to part. Truth is truth. But do you notice how the heart's courtroom never closes as long as I hold to the belief in two opposing lives? My dignity versus yours is an endless trial, because in that belief, even your apology can be cross-examined and found wanting. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. The good here is not a saccharine smile. It is the right arithmetic. There is one life. When that arithmetic returns, the urge to litigate another soul to a verdict decreases, because I would be litigating myself. If this is a prison, what is the key? The key is not the cleverer argument nor the harsher sentence. The key is to see what actually operates in human behavior. I must come, and I will take you there, to the recognition that what seemed a personal power was only an impersonal error-seeking outlet. When I see that, I can stop crowning a brother or a sister as cause, and I can stop kneeling before them as effect. I become again the porter at the door of thought. I become again the one of whom it is said, if the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. We are going there next into the light, where persons are not idols, and error is not a person, so that the warden must leave, because the prison itself has disappeared. Let me repeat it, and I repeat it, because the repetition is your freedom. Error is impersonal. It is not a person. It is not your mother, not your boss, not your friend, not your enemy. It is suggestion, hypnotism, mesmerism, world thought, seeking an outlet, knocking at the door of any mind, willing for a moment to host it. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Did you hear? Not flesh and blood, not Mary, not John, not Joel. If I forget that, I will craft an idol of a human face and bow before it in fear or fury. But if I remember, I pass by that graven image and return to dominion. Think of the wind and a set of chimes. The chimes ring. Yes. But was it their malice? Or did a moving air find them? Think of a radio receiver. It voices a broadcast because it is tuned, but the program did not originate in the box. So with conduct, when someone spoke harshly, when someone took what was not theirs, when someone broke a trust, do not rush to crown them sovereign of evil. See that an impersonal current found a wire. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That was not poetry. That was diagnosis. They know not because in that moment, mesmerism operated as their thought, and they believed it was themselves. Let me repeat. They were not the cause. They were the channel, and I must not make a channel into a cause. Now, yes, do you remember, I do not say acceptable. Impersonal never means permissible. It means I am tracing the mischief to its false root instead of burning down the orchard to punish a branch. I can and I must tell the truth of conduct. Set a boundary. Change a contract. Say no and mean it. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment sees clearly without hatred, acts firmly without vengeance, protects the garden without cursing the rain. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Wisdom without harm, that is the ethics of impersonalization. Why does this dissolve the hook? Because if it is impersonal, I need not hate a person to feel safe. I need not carry their image around my neck like a millstone to prove my seriousness. I become free to do the necessary thing and then let the resentment drop, because I am no longer waging a private war against a private selfhood. I refuse to let hypnotism conscript my energy. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Resist the suggestion, not the person. The suggestion says, they are the meaning of your pain. Keep them. I answer, no. You are not personal. You are a claim without law. You are trespass, and I am the porter. You may not enter. Once you see this, compassion is no strain. It appears of itself, not as a whitewash, but as a seeing. I can look at the one who failed me and think, in that hour, you were not yourself. In that hour, mesmerism borrowed your voice. I do not hand you the keys to my mind for that, nor do I hate you. I stand guard over my own heart, and I will speak plainly to you, and I will not recreate you as an enemy in the secret place. Because in truth there is only one I, and neither you nor I is the author of error. The moment I recognize error as impersonal, the need to blame a person begins to fall from my hands like chains whose locks have rusted through. And in that clink on the floor, did you hear it? There is the beginning of peace. Forgiveness, then, is not a coat of white paint over a cracked wall. It is not calling wrong right, nor is it pretending the bruise is not tender. Woe unto them that call evil good, says the prophet. I will not do that. Forgiveness is that spiritual act by which I refuse to lodge wrong in consciousness as anyone's identity, neither theirs nor mine. I can say that deed was unjust. That word wounded. That pattern must not continue, and at the same time, I can refuse to stamp a soul with the seal offender and carry that stamp on my tongue and in my dreams. Charity thinketh no evil, meaning it does not take the evil act and make it the abiding name of a person. I will not become the registrar of another's sins. I will not employ my memory as a clerk to enter their failures into a permanent ledger. I will not, because that is bondage to me and misnaming of them. Let me make 3 shelves in consciousness and keep them distinct so that I may walk upright in the day. First, facts. What occurred? I can state them cleanly, without embroidery and without minimization. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. If a contract was broken, it was broken. If a trust was betrayed, it was betrayed. Second, discernment. What must change? Here I exercise wisdom to set a boundary, to reframe an agreement, to say no and mean it. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment chooses remedies that protect life without poisoning it. Third, offense. The mental poison I need not drink. This is where forgiveness lives. I decline the cup that says, carry this injury as your new center. I say no, be ye angry, and sin not. Feelings may arise and pass, but sin, missing the mark, would be to enthrone them. Now, why must I be so exacting here? Because if I accept another as a personal source of evil, I have accepted evil as personal reality, and I will perpetuate it. The image I hold, I begin to behold. The verdict I pronounce, I begin to perform. If I fix you as my enemy, I must keep supplying the theater with scenes to justify the role, and I must keep my own armor polished to meet the next act. As he thinketh in his heart, so is he. If the heart writes, you are my foe, then I live in a land of foes. But if I see clearly that an impersonal error sought an outlet, then I can deal with conduct while refusing to create a creature called enemy and feed it with my life. The prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. I will keep it that way. Nothing in me that agrees to carry hatred as proof of principle. Here is the practical relief, and I offer it because I know the pressure of real relationships. I can say to a brother, no more, and not say in my heart, you are against me. I can change a password, alter a schedule, rewrite a contract, and still bless the soul across from me. Bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, is not an invitation to be a doormat. It is a command to let love govern motive while wisdom governs action. Even the Master said, if thy brother trespass against thee, rebuke him, and if he repent, forgive him. There is rebuke and there is forgiveness. There is the firmness that says, put up again thy sword into his place, and there is the love that prays, Father, forgive them. Both can live in the same chest without war. Do you see what opens when I hold these shelves steady? Truth is told, change is enacted, and yet my inner altar remains undefiled by the smoke of hatred. I am not pretending, I am presiding. I stand as the gentle I do not get, Joel, and I mixed up the eye that governs thought without swagger, the eye that keeps the temple swept. I, in this instant, reclaim my God-given post at the door of thought. I will let facts pass to the desk of discernment. I will let wisdom write the necessary orders, but I will not admit offense as identity. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. I keep it for love to dwell in, for peace to speak in, for unity to become practical on Tuesday afternoon. And with that keeping, I discover the blessed possibility that I can tell the truth about what happened without making a person the permanent meaning of it, and that in doing so, I have not only spared my brother from an idol's crown, but spared myself from its worship. Standing as porter at the door of thought is not poetry for me. It is my office, my watch. I plant my feet at the threshold of consciousness, and I say, nothing enters that defileth. No replay, no case building, no inner prosecution. I stand here as a tiler over my mind and my body. I will not let the inner court be convened by a whisper from the street. Be sober, be vigilant, not frightened, not frantic, vigilant. The instant the thought knocks, they did it to me. I do not invite it in for tea. I meet it at the door. I speak. This is an impersonal suggestion. I do not consent. Then I close the door. It is not debated, not cross-examined. It is declined. Now, yes, the suggestion is trained. It wears costumes. It will come dressed as justice. If you do not keep this anger, you are betraying yourself. It will come costumed as clarity. Hold this picture so you never forget. It will come in the uniform of self-respect. Do not let them get away with it. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. That is, mesmerism borrows virtue's clothing to gain entrance. But I am the porter. I do not judge by the coat. I test the spirit. Will this thought try to lodge itself as hatred? Will it name a person as cause and enthrone them in my chest? If so, I answer, you are impersonal suggestion. You have no law behind you. I do not consent. and I bar the door. Let me give you the exact move, because practice is salvation here. First, the knock. A name, a face, a line from the quarrel. Second, the reflex surge in the body. Do not be afraid of that. The body is innocent. Third, the sentence beginning. They did. And the courtroom lights turning on. It is at that third beat I act. I say, silently and calmly, no. This is impersonal suggestion. Not Mary, not John. Suggestion. I do not consent. I feel for the word I as it rises out of the chest closer than breathing, and I let that I occupy the threshold. If I need a verse of shield, I lift it. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts. The dart meets the shield. It falls. Do not imagine this is accomplished in one grand gesture. I will not pretend it is easy. I have had my long periods of practice. And sometimes the old thought can still gain a step on me, may for a moment get the best of me, but not for long. I snap out of it. If it returns 10 times a day, I return to dominion 10 times a day. 70 times 7, I refuse consent. Each refusal is shorter, gentler, less dramatic, until the tempter, finding nothing in me to grip, stops knocking at that door. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Resist, and then rest. Understand, refusal is not hardness. It is softness with spine. I am not a swashbuckler slashing at thoughts that feeds the ego. It has to be a gentle eye at the door, or else the guard becomes a tyrant. I listen at the crack. Is this discernment asking to speak truth? Then let it into the desk of wisdom. Is this the prosecutor rehearsing exhibits A and B with hatred in his briefcase? Then out he goes. I do not allow inside my sanctuary the whisper that says, keep the grudge. It keeps you safe. Safety is not in the grudge. Safety is in God. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. My mind is not stayed on an injury. It is stayed on I. Make of this a living drill. When the phone buzzes and the name you fear appears, be the porter. When the room goes quiet after a sharp word, be the porter. When you wake at 2 in the morning and the old scene rises, be the porter. Gently, firmly, this is impersonal suggestion. I do not consent. Breathe once, feel the chest, let the word I move as breath moves, and then turn to what is at hand. If a call must be made tomorrow, make it tomorrow. Tonight, close the gate. This is the first taste of freedom. It begins the instant of refusal, and as you keep this watch, you will notice a new thing dawning, quiet as daybreak. The sense of yourself shifting from the little embattled Joel to a presence that does not bruise when names are thrown. Do not get Joel and I mixed up. The refusal is not a personal shield. It is the revelation of an impersonal selfhood that cannot be injured. When that dawn grows, refusal becomes less an effort and more a resting in what already is. We will go there, but for now, this moment, stand your post. I stand here as porter at the door of thought, and nothing enters that defileth. My freedom is now. Now we advance to the root of the matter, for without this distinction, all our portering at the door turns into fatigue. Do not get Joel and I mixed up. Joel is the costume history, temperament, likes and dislikes, the face that blushes, the nerves that tremble. Joel feels the weather. Joel can be jostled on the sidewalk of human events, but I listen where that word rises from. Not the head, but the chest, closer than breathing. I am not the history. I am not the bruise. I am not the one who can be diminished by the passing winds of opinion or the splash of a careless word. I and my Father are one. Not my oneness with God. Do you remember that? My conscious oneness with God. This is not a theory to collect like a stamp. This is a present realization to assume, to embody, to stand in. Let me confess so you can take heart in your own practice. I had my long periods in which I confused the costume for the actor, the mask for the face, and then every little scratch on the mask felt like a wound to my being. Sometimes, even now, the costume tugs at the sleeve and says, "Defend me." And for a breath, I mistake that for life's voice. But not for long. I snap out of it by returning to I. I let the mask be a mask and the actor be the actor. I remember. I am that I am. The self that God is. The life that God is. That it cannot be shamed, cannot be humiliated, cannot be rejected, because it has never been accepted by persons in order to exist. The prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. Nothing in me responds as bruise to the finger of suggestion when I am resting as I. Now take up identity as prayer and speak it in first person, for identity is not borrowed, it is declared. I am not humiliation. I am not rejection. I am not the yesterday you tried to hand me as a name. I am the life that cannot be diminished. I am the peace that cannot be drafted into quarrel. I am the bread of life to my world. I am the light that shines and is not overcome. I am the resurrection and the life of every dead hope that spirit raises. Do not fear that this is ego. It is only ego when the mouth says it as swagger. This must be the gentle I, the lamb I, the I that bows as it speaks because it knows its source. If you catch yourself saying these things as a sword to dominate a brother, hear the master. Put up again thy sword into his place. The gentle I is never a swashbuckler. It is never a tyrant at the door of thought. It is a quiet governor, a still scepter. How does this I meet pain? Not by denial, by dominion. Joel may feel heat in the cheeks, a clutch in the stomach that is honest weather, but I do not take weather as climate, and I do not name climate as self. I witness the sensation, I bless the body, I set what boundary wisdom requires, and I abide as the life within that is uninjured. Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Do you hear the law? Not that experience never jostles, but that nothing shall lodge as offense in the consciousness that loves law, loves the order of I's government. Therefore I stand, and when the knock comes, it finds not a room full of tinder, but a sea that cannot burn. Now, yes, part of this is training the tongue of thought to tell the truth of being. Practice it softly on the exhale. I am. Do not add adjectives until the chest says it for you. I am. Then let the names arise as revelation, not ornament. I am wholeness. I am safety. I am supply without competition. And here unity begins to appear, not as sentiment, but as fact. Because if I am the life, and you are not other than that same I appearing as you, where is the border on which we must war? For we, being many, are one body in Christ, and every one members one of another. My interests are your interests. My supply is your supply. There is no my dignity and thy dignity as two rival kingdoms. In the one I, we do not steal from each other. We share breath. In the one I, correction does not humiliate. It restores order to a single organism. In the one I, I cannot enrich myself by diminishing you. There is neither Jew nor Greek, bond nor free, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. Do not get Joel and I mixed up. Then, when you go to speak the needed, no. When you go to forgive, when you go to sleep, let Joel be tender and human. Let him wash his face, eat his bread, feel his feelings. But let I be the one who governs, the one who prays, the one who answers the door. Let I be the one in whose presence offense cannot set up housekeeping. I will stand still and not talk about, know God is the very eye of me. And from that knowing springs the uninjured life, the calm that speaks plainly, the love that refuses hatred, and the unity that ends the lawsuit before it begins. Abide there, and watch how quickly the old names fall off, like coats in spring. Abide there, and offense becomes a stranger who cannot find your address. Unity ends the lawsuit. My interests are your interests in the one life. I will not live any longer by the arithmetic of two selves, my gain against your loss, my vindication against your future. That is the root of resentment, the belief in two competing lives cut off from one another, squinting across a fence at rival harvests. But there is no fence. For we, being many, are one body in Christ, and every one members one of another. If I break you, I limp. If I shame you, I bleach my own blood. If I sue you in the secret court of my thought, I subpoena my own peace to testify against me. In him we live and move and have our being. Therefore, I must live and move and have my being from unity, not from the hallucination of separateness. Now watch how unity changes conflict. I do not pretend there are no frictions, no contracts to renegotiate, no patterns to end, but I no longer aim my remedy at a person's worth or future. I correct the conduct without annihilating the soul. I change the terms without cursing the life within those terms. Agree with thine adversary quickly, whiles thou art in the way with him. Does not mean surrender your integrity. It means meet life at the level where there are not two selves at war, but one life arranging its affairs. The organism heals itself not by disowning a limb, but by restoring order to the whole. So with us, my good does not require your loss. My peace is not bought by your punishment. In the one life, there is no my supply and thy supply. There is the river that waters us both. All things are yours, and ye are Christ's, and Christ is God's. Do you see the hidden cost of blame? The moment I condemn you as the meaning of evil, I install evil as a living tenant within myself. I feed the very suggestion I wish to banish, and I suffer first. With what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, not by a distant tribunal, but by the echo within consciousness. If I decree, you are my enemy, I must keep the machinery of enmity oiled. I must script new scenes to justify the title. I must sleep in armor. But if I yield that decree and abide in one life, the machinery winds down for lack of power. I can still say no where no is holy, but I do not have to manufacture a foe to make my no strong. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Peacemaking here is not appeasement. It is truth told from unity, decision made from unity, boundary set from unity, so that the organism heals without a scar of hatred. Let me picture it for you. This hand can neither give nor withhold of itself. Something must direct the hand. If in a moment it's struck, I do not sue the hand. I correct the direction. So in relationship, I am not suing hands. I am addressing direction. Error is impersonal. Unity is impersonal. When I act from unity, I am not trying to win a case. I am restoring right direction to a single life appearing as us. There is one body and one spirit, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. When that knowing is present, the temperature in the room drops and words become clean, and even parting ways, if parting is wisdom, carries a blessing instead of a curse. Now, yes, you cannot think yourself into this. You cannot staple unity to your forehead with phrases while your breath runs hard and your chest is a courtroom. Unity is realized by stillness and inner impartation. Be still and know that I am God. Not think that I am. No. I then rest the tongue of mind. I let the river lift me. I await the hush in which the sense of two dissolves without argument. From that hush, action becomes simple. From that hush, resentment has no oxygen. From that hush, I remember. There is only I. I am thyself. And in that I, the lawsuit ends before it can be filed. Now let us make this unity practical in the body. Because if the breath is still a battlefield, the mind will keep filing motions. 3 minutes. That is all. I, in this instant, assume dominion over mind and body, and I give the body a simple order. It loves to obey. Sit. Place the feet upon the floor. Let the hands rest open, not clenched. Soften the chest. Listen where the word I rises, closer than breathing. Unhinge the jaw slightly. Let the tongue rest on the floor of the mouth. Let the eyes be soft, lids heavy if they wish. Be still and know that I am God. Not many words, stillness first. Now the breath. Breathe gently, breathe slowly, and always on the exhale, do the work. On the first exhale, do not argue. Let the sentence that has tortured you run out with the air, like smoke that cannot keep its shape outside. They did it to me. Do not wrestle it to the ground. Let it pass the door as mere suggestion. Then allow a natural inhale, no forcing, and on the next exhale, whisper in the mind, or barely at the lips, the recognition that takes away its mask. Impersonal error, no person, no power, let it drop. Again, a soft inhale. Again, the exhale. Impersonal error, no person, no power, let it drop. Continue in this rhythm for a minute. You are the porter at the door of thought, and the breath is your gate. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Quietness is the breath, confidence is the refusal. As you continue, watch the sign of success. The breath begins to slow of itself. The chest that was a courtroom becomes a sanctuary, and the judge puts down the gavel. Do not push the slowness. Receive it. The slowing is the body's testimony that authority has shifted away from the claim of personal offense and back to I. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. I am staying my mind on I by this simple exhale of denial and recognition. Impersonal error, no person, no power, let it drop. Each time, let it drop not from defiance but from gentleness. This is not a swashbuckler's sword. This is a sower's open hand. Now travel within, because resentment has places it likes to rent. Move your attention to the jaw. If there is iron there, meet it on the exhale with the same recognition. Impersonal error, no person, no power, let it drop. Feel the hinge soften. Move to the throat. Swallow once. Open the gate. And on the exhale, release the choke of unspoken words. Impersonal error, no person, no power, let it drop. Slide awareness to the chest, not the heart of I, but the armor in front of it, and on the exhale, melt the plate To the belly now, the coil where fear stores its extra keys. On the exhale, unlock and let the keys fall. Impersonal error, no person, no power, let it drop. If there is heat in the solar plexus, meet it. If the hands are fists, let them unfurl as leaves in spring. The Spirit of God hath made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. Let that breath give life to every room inside. Third minute. Let the words begin to thin. Keep the posture of refusal, but reduce the syllables to a single knowing. Perhaps only this, once or twice more on the exhale. No person, no power. Then, even those words drop, and only the living I remains. Breathe as I, not I thinking, I being. Feel how the breath has become gentle, almost imperceptible. That is the evidence that the claim of personal offense has lost its authority. It cannot commandeer a body at peace. Peace, be still, and there is a great calm. When you are ready, do nothing dramatic. Open the eyes as if you were already seeing from within. Let one ordinary action follow. Stand, pour water, send a note without summoning the old sentence back as proof that you are serious. Keep the breath's testimony as your credential. 3 minutes. Sit, soften, exhale the claim. Replace it with recognition. Travel within, and let each place hear the same verdict. Then strip the words until only I remains. And if during the day the thought returns, do not be ashamed. Return to the exhale. Return to I, and let it drop. The porter keeps his post by breathing, and in that gentle breath the lawsuit finds no court to enter. Now we come to the place where even good words can become weights. Even forgiveness can turn into a task you strap to your back, a to-do list that never finishes because the mind loves to polish its arguments. I cannot manufacture peace with a better argument. Peace is not manufactured by thought. It is recognized when only the living I remains. Be still and know that I am God. Not be clever. Be still. No. Let me show you what I mean by stripping the words. Sit for a breath. Yes, but more than posture, assume the inner willingness to let labels lose their glue. Victim, there it is. The name tag the world pins on your chest after a hard day. Offender, the badge you hang on another so you can find them again in the dark. Betrayal, the headline your memory prints in bold. Disrespect, the red stamp you press on the file each time it crosses your desk. One by one, I hold these at the edge of thought, and on the exhale, I remove them from the body of consciousness. Not by force, but by recognition. These are only names, echoes in the head's courtroom, and I will not let them become my identity. I will not take them into the chest where life speaks. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts. Not concepts ruling, peace ruling. Do not fear that you are losing clarity by losing labels. You are gaining it. The label is not the thing. The word victim is not your being. The word offender is not their nature. When the labels drop, what remains is seeing clean, unarmed seeing. I can still say what happened. I can still know what must change, but I do not carry a dictionary of accusation to define my world. I strip until the mind is bare as an altar at dawn. I strip until the only word that rises is I. There is one word. You cannot get rid of the word I. Watch where it comes from. All the other words come up out of the head, jangling like keys on a ring, but I comes up out of the chest, closer than breathing. Feel it. I. Not Joel asserting himself. Not a swashbuckler's I, but the gentle I, the lamb I, the I that simply is because God is. I am that I am. In that I, the past is not rehearsed as identity. It is seen, learned from, and released. I can visit the scene as one visits a school, take the lesson, and then I do not move my furniture into the classroom and call it home. I do not replay the old act as if it had authority to rename me. In I, yesterday loses its court date. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. The world gives peace with conditions and verdicts. I gives peace by presence. When only I remains, the breath testifies. It slows without command. The chest is no longer a jury box. It is a sanctuary. And in that sanctuary, the names that once felt like iron simply cannot find a hook. They slide off, not because I am indifferent, but because I am true. Now, yes, the head will protest. It will say, if I drop these words, I will be naive. No, you will be awake. Awake enough to act wisely without poisoning your well. Awake enough to say no as cleanly as a surgeon's cut, with no ragged edge of hatred. Awake enough to look into the eyes of a brother and see beyond the costume of a moment to the same eye living there. The kingdom of God is within you, not within your adjectives, within you, within I. Make a brief practice of it even now. On an exhale, let the word forgiveness go as a task. Let the words victim, offender, betrayal, disrespect stand outside like coats on a rack. Step past them, unclothed of labels, into the warmth of I. Breathe once as I, then once more, not saying I am this or I am that, just I am. When the urge to decorate it with explanations rises, smile and let it pass. The decoration lives in the head. The house is in the chest. In that house, the law holds, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, stayed on I. And now we will test this in the bright light of ordinary life, not in a cave, not on a mountain, but with a phone in the hand and a calendar to keep. Messages will arrive. Conversations will ask to be had. Co-parenting requires schedules, pickups, boundaries. Work relationships will knock with meetings and metrics. We will not put the coats of old names back on to enter these rooms. We will go as I speak, as I set boundaries, as I refuse to recreate an enemy in consciousness, as we enact wisdom in form. The words may return to serve, but they will not rule. I will let presence do the talking, and I will let peace, not vengeance, be the power behind my yes and my no. Now we go into contact. Not a cave, not a retreat, contact. Phone to the ear, eyes meeting across a table, a message blinking. I can act wisely in the world while refusing to create or maintain a personal enemy in consciousness. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. I do not go as a prosecutor. I go as I. I do not aim at a soul. I address conduct. I do not pronounce a life sentence on a person. I name a boundary that restores order. I will not let the heat in my chest draft my tongue. I stand as porter first, then I speak. Before every contact, a simple inner check saves hours of warfare. Whom am I about to meet? A person present in this moment or the mental image I have been feeding all night? If it is the image, I pause. I feel for I rising out of the chest closer than breathing. I let one exhale carry out the accusation. No person, no power, let it drop. Then I ask again, whom am I meeting? The answer must be, I am meeting, I appearing as this one. Only then do I cross the threshold. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Now the speech itself, boundaries are holy when spoken from the gentle I. Hear the difference. Not, you always sabotage, you are selfish. That is character assassination, and it enthrones an enemy in my chest. But this does not work for me. When the pickup changes at the last minute, our child is stranded. This must change. I will step back from this project if deadlines continue to be missed. Here is the new arrangement. I am willing to continue when communication is timely. Otherwise, I will withdraw. Clean, specific. No hatred on the blade. Speaking the truth in love, not in venom. A soft answer turneth away wrath, not a weak answer, a soft one. Because it is free of the grit of contempt, learn the cadence of impersonal clarity. I describe behavior and consequence without writing a prophecy over a person's future. I do not say you are unreliable. I say 2 times this month the delivery was late. The contract requires on-time delivery. If it happens again, we will choose another vendor. I do not say you are a manipulator. I say, when you threaten to cancel plans to get your way, I will not negotiate under threat. The conversation stops there. Notice, I am not suing the hand, I am correcting the direction. The organism heals by restoring order, not by cursing its own limb. If thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. In recurring relationships, error will test for consent. Family patterns, partnerships, colleagues, error repeats, as long as it finds lodging in thought. Then I must not only speak, I must withdraw consent inwardly. Each time I review the case at midnight, I am signing the permission slip for repetition. So I watch. The old picture flickers. I refuse. The line rises to the lips. I refuse. The hand reaches for the phone to send a scolding text. I refuse. Not by force, by identity. I rest 5 seconds as I breathe out the claim. Then from that rest, I send one sentence, clean and sufficient, or I do not send it at all, because silence is sometimes the wisest porter. Now, yes, there will be times to walk away. Unity does not mean fusing with error. Unity means refusing to create an enemy while choosing holiness. Be ye wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Wisdom sees the pattern and steps aside. Harmlessness refuses to curse the life within the pattern. If the situation calls for distance, I set it. For the next 3 months, I will not participate in this exchange. If you wish to resume, here are the conditions. I do not slam the door. I secure the latch. My interests are your interests in the one life. My boundary blesses us both, because chaos in one part bruises the whole. Let me give you a household scene. The sharp word lands at dinner. The room chills. Old family roles hurry to their marks. I feel the reflex, the prosecutor clearing his throat. I will not call the court to order. I anchor in I. I was hurt by that comment. This table is for kindness. If it happens again, I will step away and we can try later. Then I return to bread and breath. No lecture, no scalding history. If there is a need for deeper reckoning, it can be had at the right hour, not as a flare-up of the old play. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath does not mean finish every argument before bedtime. It means do not take wrath to bed as a roommate. Before we close, I warn gently. The tempter will return. The picture will knock. The sentence will assemble itself. The chest will feel the old armor. Do not be ashamed. We are not building a life in which resentment never tries. We are building a life in which we snap out of it quickly. The instant you feel the heat, remember the porter. Breathe once as I. Refuse the image. Then, if a call must be made, make it as a peacemaker. Yea, yea. Nay, nay. In a moment we will speak of the fast recovery that ends the cycle. For now, let this be your integration. Meet the world as I. Speak plainly from love. Set clean boundaries without creating an enemy. And keep your heart as a sanctuary, not a courtroom. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Now let us be sober and honest, because if we make a museum out of our progress, we will be afraid to live in it. I will not pretend that resentment never returns. Sometimes it still tries to, and for a breath it may even get the best of me. I feel the old heat rise, the jaw set, the sentence draft itself, but not for too long. I snap out of it. Freedom is not never being tempted to resent. It is returning to dominion the moment the temptation appears. A just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. Rising is our art. Here is the fast recovery, and I want you to practice it until it becomes spiritual muscle memory. First, I notice the heat, breath short, chest armored, stomach tight. Be sober. Be vigilant. Not anxious, vigilant. Second, I name it exactly what it is. Suggestion. Not a person. Not a power. Suggestion presents its case. I do not have to grant it jurisdiction. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Third, I return to the breath and do the work on the exhale. Impersonal error. No person. No power. Let it drop. Again, gently. Fourth, I rest as I feel the word rise from the chest, closer than breathing, until the body testifies by softening. Return unto thy rest, O my soul. Fifth, I choose one clean action or I choose none. Yea, yea, nay, nay, but I refuse to rehearse the story. The story is the fuel. The breath is the extinguisher. Now prepare for the predictable knockers on the door, because the porter is wise to patterns. Fatigue will try you. When the body is thin, the old script reads loud. Loneliness will amplify echoes. In the empty room, even a pin drop sounds like a verdict. Injustice, memories, the film you know by heart will whisper, "Play me again." Social media, with its theater of grievance, will offer you a stage and a spotlight at midnight. The mere sound of their name at a meeting in a hallway can call up a courtroom. Anticipate. Feed the body and let it sleep. Refuse to scroll when the chest is hot. Step out of rooms where accusation is entertainment. If you know a name triggers you, breathe once as I before you answer to it. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. I must warn you about a subtler trap, spiritual ego. Do not use impersonal error to bypass grief or to feel superior to those who still ache. Jesus wept. That is scripture. Let Joel cry when tears are holy. Let the human weather pass through the open window. Be ye angry, and sin not. You may feel the flash, but do not nail it to a person and call it truth. The gentle eye never struts. It bows as it governs. If, in your quick recovery, you find yourself judging another for being slow, you have swapped one offense for another. Put up thy sword. Come back to I. When you practice this fast return, something beautiful occurs. The episodes shorten. The charge drains. The image that once filled the wall shrinks to a postage stamp and then to a dot that cannot find your address. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Each return to I plants habit at the root. Each exhale writes a new reflex into the body, and then the promise begins to flower. Renewal, regeneration, a new way of being in relationship. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. I then am the resurrection and the life of this very pattern. I watch it die to its old power and rise into peace. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. That is where we are going next, the cleansing, the renewal, the relationship reborn in spirit. But for now, take the vow that keeps the way clear. I will not consent to harboring offense. If it returns, I return faster. If it knocks, I answer as porter. If it argues, I breathe, and in the breath it has no courtroom. Beloved, hear the arc we have walked. We began with a shock of offense, the sting that tries to write our name in fire. We saw the hidden trap, the thought, someone did this to me, becoming my own prison guard. We listened again and again until it sank in. Error is impersonal, a suggestion-seeking outlet, and I will not lend it my face or theirs. Then we took dominion gentle, not swashbuckling, and stood as porter at the door of thought. We shifted identity from Joel to I, from the courtroom of separation into the sanctuary of one life. We practiced the exhale. We stripped the words. We spoke cleanly in the world without recreating an enemy. And when temptation returned, we rose quickly. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. This is that newness. Therefore, I speak a simple benediction into your chest, where the word I rises closer than breathing. I rest. I release. I stand. I forgive. I am governed by the one, life. I will not consent to personal offense entering consciousness. I will not enthrone a person as the meaning of error. I will not live by the arithmetic of two selves. I am the gentle I. I am peace in this body. I am clarity in this tongue. I am unity in this house. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. I and the Father are one. And because I am the only self, I am thyself. Our interests are one in life. Make this a daily way and not a burst of inspiration. 3 times a day, 2 minutes each time, I in this instant assume dominion over mind and body. Sit, soften, and always on the exhale do the work. Impersonal error, no person, no power, let it drop. Do not argue. Do not decorate. Let the breath slow of itself. That slowing is your evidence. 2 minutes morning, 2 minutes midday, 2 minutes evening. If the thought returns between times, give it one gentle exhale as porter and let it pass like smoke. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Make a second assignment for contact. Before every difficult message or meeting, sit 1 minute as porter at the door of thought. Guard the threshold. Refuse inner prosecution. Let the sentence that wants to march in circles be released on the exhale. Then ask, whom am I about to meet? The answer must be, I am meeting, I appearing as this one. Only then speak. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. Clean, specific, without hatred on the blade. Your boundary will heal because it honors one life. And let the heart be encouraged. What falls away here is not truth, not justice, not wisdom. It is bondage. The grudge falls. The courtroom collapses. The old film finally stops for lack of power. What remains is I whole, quiet, available for love. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. In that lightness, you will find the naturalness of kindness returning. You will sense the creative solutions that never come in a storm. You will taste the simple joy of being unarmored in your own home. I then am the resurrection and the life of this very relationship pattern. I watch it rise not into naivete, but into holy sanity. I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten, not by editing the past, but by removing its authority to name your present. So let us seal it. I rest, I release, I stand, I forgive. I am governed by the one life. I, in this moment, accept conscious dominion. I will keep my post as porter. I will see error as impersonal. I will refuse to mint an enemy in my chest. I will breathe until peace testifies in the body, and then I will act wisely, gently, firmly from unity. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. As I maintain conscious dominion and see error as impersonal, resentment dissolves and life is renewed. Go in this renewal. Walk in this regeneration. Let the relationship, whichever one life places before you, next be reborn in spirit, and let the one I live it through you.